Hi, welcome to Salve Salento. I'm Jennifer, and today I wanted to discuss one of the questions that comes up a lot on the channel that about €1 homes. A lot of people ask us if we purchased a €1 home and do we know anything about purchasing a €1 home and what it entails and things like that. And I wanted to share with you today a little bit of the experience that we've had from stories of other people or just our own research that we were doing online about the €1 homes to give you a little bit of information on them if you're not really familiar with €1 homes. So with the €1 homes, we didn't choose a €1 home because there's a lot of reasons why these homes are €1. I mean, imagine if you were in the US or another country and they were selling homes for $1 or whatever your currency is. You can imagine what condition would that property be in? Where is that property located? What are the conditions in the area for the reasoning for that being so inexpensive? You might say, well, yeah, it's a cheap place to live, but it's not in a great neighborhood, or it's in a place where I really wouldn't want to live. So it doesn't really matter, what the cost is, because even if they were giving it away free, you probably wouldn't want to live in a place like that anyway. So one of the things that is common in the €1 homes is that they are in areas that have been affected usually by either a natural disaster or depopulation, where the people just up and left. There was no jobs, there was no business, nothing, new children weren't being born, and the people that they were new young people were moving out, the older people were staying, and then over time passing away, and then the young people weren't coming back. So these are areas usually that most of the time, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, these are areas where people just didn't want to return because of the conditions, or there was just no opportunity for them to work and live and raise a family in these areas. Um, all of these €1 homes, most, I'll say not all, most of them, almost 100% of them, either have some structural damage or some damage that was caused by a natural disaster, maybe an earthquake or something else that happened, that it just the ground loosened up underneath, and then the house just crumbled and fell because it wasn't being maintained. And they all need to have something done to them usually. I think it's very rare that you'll find one that doesn't have structural damage. It may seem like a good deal where you say, oh, well, if it's just got a crack here, or, oh, it's just, I can just plaster over that. It's a lot more complicated than that. And you might actually have roofs that are falling in if they haven't already fallen in. The ground might be unsettled underneath the house. So even if you start to try to fix it, it may just all of a sudden start to crumble again anyway. Um, Another reason why we didn't want to purchase a €1 home is that a lot of them are in areas where there aren't a lot of people. That's the reason why they want to sell them for €1, is because they want people to come back. And you have to guarantee that you're going to fix it also. But we didn't want to spend a lot of time, worrying about, are people going to move into the neighborhood? Are we here all by ourselves? Are there a lot of choices for us to go to restaurants and shopping, groceries and things like that, maybe malls nearby if we need things. We knew that we didn't want to be in a place that was completely isolated from other people, which is part of the culture, right? Why you want to move to Italy and why you want to go there is because you want to experience maybe the different restaurants, travel to different places. And if the place that you're purchasing and renovating and then you're going to be in a lot of the time is in a very remote area, then you're not going to be near people very often unless you travel. So you'll definitely need to go to the next closest largest town and go there to get whatever you need, and then go back to the area that's not built up yet, because it could take decades for these areas to be repopulated. If they are selling the homes, it could take a long time, because renovations they're not a quick thing to do. They take a lot of time. But one of the other issues is that I don't think anybody really thinks of is you want somebody to refurbish this property for you. If you want somebody to fix it up and make it so that it's actually habitable, are these people in these towns? Are there construction companies that are in the towns that you're thinking of buying a €1 home? So who's going to fix it? And where are you going to buy your supplies if you're kind of in a remote area that hasn't really been keeping up with progress that's been happening in Italy? Because they have been coming up. There's um, Leroy Merlin and Bricoman, which is like the Home Depot of Italy, and they're only in certain areas. So if you move to a really deserted area, how are you going to buy your supplies? You can't buy everything online. And are you even able to get deliveries to this area where you are? Are there enough people there to sustain something like that? So you think about, all of these issues that you might have where there aren't going to be a lot of people around. There might not be a lot of young people if you do move to these areas, because they're actually trying to attract the young people to come back. But if there aren't jobs for the young people, then the young people aren't going to return to these areas. And a lot of them are in areas where natural disasters occur, along fault lines, where earthquakes have happened and the houses have, become damaged because of that. And I don't know if I would, well, I know that I wouldn't, I wouldn't want to buy a property in a place that I knew that really at any moment an earthquake can come through and wreck my house again. We lived in Florida for a long time, and it was just, that was bad enough worrying about hurricanes just for hurricane season, but you don't know when earthquakes are going to happen. And you can just, have finished your home, fixing up your new €1 home, renovating it, and now an earthquake came through and wrecked it. So we made sure that we picked an area that was not prone at all to earthquakes, just because of that reason, that I didn't want to have that be hanging over my head and worrying about that all the time. Also, these €1 homes, if you look at the fine print when you are deciding to purchase these, a lot of them have a time limit that you need to start or complete renovations by within, and you have to leave a deposit most of the time. A lot of the towns are requiring that you leave maybe €5,000, €10,000 as a deposit on that property, saying that yes, I'm going to renovate it, and it has to be done within a certain amount of time. You can't just buy it and then say, okay, well, in 5 years, I might come back and renovate it, but I just want to buy it for €1 right now. That's one of the reasons why they're doing it, is because they want them to get built up quickly. They don't want to wait, 5 or 10 years. So they put that time restriction on that. Another issue that comes up is that the towns that have these €1 homes that they want to start selling because their population is so low, they actually have to notify the family that is the owner of that property. And a lot of times there are so many people that own that property, and some of them just don't want to sell it. Maybe they're upset with their family, or they just don't want to let go. And you could have 10, 15, 20 people on an very old property that are entitled to some kind of compensation from the sale of that property. Also, a lot of these properties have been racking up taxes and things for years that nobody's been paying. So the families don't want to return, because they know that if they come back and claim ownership of the property, then they'll be responsible for paying all of those taxes and fees and things that haven't been paid for all of those years. So these things are roadblocks to getting these €1 hometowns going, because if the families don't cooperate, then they can't sell the homes anyway. But I know that they have good intentions, and they're really trying to get these places repopulated and get them built up again, because they're beautiful towns. Most of them are, beautiful. They have beautiful views. They're in beautiful areas, but they just are not able to be sold for whatever reason, whatever the situation in that area is. And the town can't just take ownership of that property. I know that there's a lot of legal things that would be involved in that, but I know that Italian law is that when people pass away, it goes to the heirs, and that could have been 2, 3, 4 generations that of ownership of that property. And how many people own that property, and try finding everybody, to be almost impossible. So that was one of the reasons, but a lot of the reasons why we didn't purchase a 1 euro home. I would have rather purchase something that is not, needs some work done to it. We did update the house. We took out all of the electric, the plumbing, new floors. We redid everything, new kitchen, bathrooms, and everything like that. We kind of gave it a nice facelift. So it's an old property, but we brought it up to modern times. Um, you're going to be spending a lot of money renovating these 1 euro homes anyway. Most of them, if they need structural work, that's very expensive. And like I said, if you can't do it yourself, who you're going to get to do it in the area? Um, if you're thinking about purchasing a property and you really were saying, oh, well, that 1 euro home, I really would like to do that in one of the little towns and blah, blah, blah. I would go visit and see what the situation is and what the properties look like and what's nearby, because yes, if they're beautiful areas and it's a beautiful town, but if there's not a lot around you, and how much time do you have to wait for all of that stuff to get built up? Do you have 40 years? Because it could take 40 years. Do you want to just leave it to your family if you're in retirement age? So these things, you want to enjoy your property now, or wait a long time to have it be finished and then wait for other people to show up. We just wanted to be around people right away and be in an area that we knew was lively and had a lot going on, and it was close to everything, so that we could meet people and have new adventures and things like that. And that's really what the whole experience is all about. So I know that if you're really stuck on that 1 euro home, look up online. I know that there's websites for the 1 euro homes if you're interested, because a lot of the towns that have some available, if they come up for sale, they have lists, and you can get pre-qualified to get on that list, so that when they come up for sale, they'll let you know that the houses are available and that you can pick the house that you would want to purchase. But I would advise you to visit the area and then actually do look at those maps to see, are they in an area that has a lot of earthquake activity? Because you don't want to be in an area that everyone left because it was dangerous, and then now you're buying a property and renovating, spending a lot of money to do that there. So I hope that this gave you a little bit of information. I know that so many people really want to find an inexpensive way to purchase a property over in Italy and have that be their retirement home. And think about all the things you want to do in retirement. Do you really want to be fixing up a house for years and years and years? Or do you just want to say, you know what, I'm ready to retire now and I want to enjoy myself and go travel and do all these things? You worked very hard all of those years. It's time to enjoy it and find something maybe that doesn't need too much work, or something that's already been renovated. And that's even better, because now you can go in, change paint, maybe change a few appliances, and then now you have a vacation home. And there are a lot of them available, and everything isn't expensive. If you want a giant house, which some people do, but we didn't, because that was just way more to take care of. Why would we want to take on more responsibility now when we want to start enjoying ourselves? Properties that are not large are not very expensive most of the time, depending on where they are. If they're, yes, in major cities, they are. But if you're in a little town outside of a city, those properties are not very, very expensive. And it might not take much to bring that up to modern, to code, and to be comfortable, because you want to have, efficient appliances, and you want to have efficient heating and cooling, depending on what you're going to be spending there, the seasons. If you're going to be staying through the winter or in the summer, you want to make sure that those things are updated, so that you're not spending a lot of money on utilities, and also, have it be comfortable for you when you're actually there visiting. So again, I hope that this helped you, gave you a little bit of information. If you want to get those websites for the €1 homes, if you're still after this video, you still want €1 home, I'll put the link for the €1 home website in the description. Again, if you like this, please click on the like and subscribe, become a member. We're going to start having some members only events, things, chats and things online. So you're a member and you can get on the list to be first in line. So again, thanks again for joining me today. I'll hope to see you again soon. Take care. Ciao.